Alright, what's up guys? Brian here, and this is my WWE Monday Night Raw review for tonight's episode. I'm going to give my thoughts on what took place on tonight's episode. Before I begin, start off with some news bits coming out of WWE today, or over this past weekend as well. JBL announced that he is leaving WWE to do some other stuff outside of it. So he is no longer going to be a part of the commentary team on SmackDown. However, WWE announced today they announced that Corey Graves is going to be doing the commentary for both Raw and SmackDown, and that Nigel McGuinness will replace Corey Graves on 205 Live as well as the main event. So that's one bit of news coming out today. The other huge news that probably WWE superstars are probably saying why is this happening is that apparently WWE has announced that they are going to be running live Raws on Christmas Day. Yeah, Christmas Day and New Year's Day. I believe it is, yeah. So that is another big story coming out of today, is that WWE announced that they're going to be running live Raws as well as live Raws for New Year's Day and Christmas Day. So there's probably a lot of superstars that would want to be home with their families, spending the holidays with their families, but WWE has announced they're going to be doing live Raws on Christmas Day and New Year's Day. So those are two news bits coming out of WWE as far as over the weekend as well as today, which is a Monday. So let's get right into the Raw review. We started off Raw with John Cena taking on Jason Jordan. This one, my thoughts on this match, I thought Jason Jordan was near the end was pretty impressive. He did score some near falls on John Cena, but big match John going over once again, defeating Jason Jordan and picking up the win. He would then be interrupted by Roman Reigns, his opponent for No Mercy. Reigns would pretty much question John, saying that, why did it take so long for you to beat a rookie? Apparently you're not as strong, as fast, and as, what you said last week and stuff like that. Basically just insulting John Cena and saying, he couldn't beat Jason Jordan any faster. Cena would come back saying, basically he said he's gonna beat Roman Reigns. He doesn't respect Roman Reigns and stuff like that. So that was pretty much it for that whole segment. So obviously building heat for that match coming up at No Mercy between those two. We saw a tag team match. Sheamus and Cesaro, the number one contenders for the Raw Tag Team titles, they took on Heath Slater and Rhino. Sheamus and Cesaro, they scored the win in this one. Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose were at the commentary table. Of course, Rollins and Ambrose are the current Raw Tag Team champions, and they're going to be defending those titles against Sheamus and Cesaro coming up at No Mercy. We had the Intercontinental Championship on the line as well on tonight's Raw, as The Miz defended against Jeff Hardy. This was a match that I thought was actually pretty good. The Miz had the Miztourage with him, of course, as well as his wife Maurice. Jeff Hardy had Matt Hardy with him. Matt Hardy, Bo Dallas, and Curtis Axel would wind up getting ejected after getting into a brawl outside the ring. That left Jeff Hardy and The Miz alone in the ring, and it took one mistake by Jeff Hardy. Jeff went for the Swanton Bomb, but Maurice kind of woke The Miz up. Told him that Jeff, told The Miz that Jeff Hardy was going to hit the Swanton, and Miz moved out of the way, went after Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy countered and was going to hit the Twist of Fate, but Miz countered and hit the Skull Crushing Finale to retain the Intercontinental Championship. So a big victory for The Miz. Who is going to be in line for that? Who's going to be next in line for a shot at the Intercontinental Championship? Kurt Angle said last week that Miz was going to be defending the Intercontinental title at No Mercy. So we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen with that. We had a six-man cruiserweight tag team match. It was like I said, a six-man tag involving the cruiserweights. It was Tony Nese, Drew Gulak, and Noam Dar taking on Grand Metalik, Cedric Alexander, and Enzo Amore. Enzo Amore scored the victory for his team in this matchup. Really nothing exciting in this one. Enzo used a dirty tactic to win. He poked, I believe it was Drew Gulak in the eye, and then beat the feet on Gulak, and then pinned him 1, 2, 3. So I don't know what they're doing with Enzo as a cruiserweight. I mean, he's been using a lot of dirty tactics to win, even though he's supposed to be a babyface, but he's using dirty tactics to win. So I don't know which way they're going with his character as far as being in the cruiserweight division. We had an in-ring segment with Finn Balor talking about how Bray Wyatt cost him an opportunity to at the Intercontinental Championship in the Battle Royal from last week. Bray Wyatt would show up on the Titantron. Basically, this would lead to Bray Wyatt saying he wants to face mortal Finn Balor at No Mercy. So obviously that's going to be another match that's going to be taking place at No Mercy, Balor versus Bray Wyatt. We had a women's tag team match with some huge implications. It was the new Raw Women's Champion, Alexa Bliss, teaming up with the number one contender to the Raw Women's title. It was Sasha Banks. They took on Nia Jax and Emma. This one had some huge implications because originally it was going to be Sasha versus Alexa for the Raw Women's title at No Mercy, but Kurt Angle, Nia Jax, and Emma met with Kurt Angle, basically saying they wanted opportunities, and Kurt Angle made this tag match with the stipulation that if Nia Jax and Emma won this, then they would be added to that match, making it a fatal four-way. And there was a lot of questions going into this matchup as to whether or not Sasha and Alexa could get along, as well as Emma and Nia Jax. Could they get along? And it wasn't a bad tag team matchup. And the ending saw Emma taking advantage, not taking advantage, gaining the victory after Nia Jax hit a leg drop on Sasha, and as soon as Nia Jax ran into the ropes, Emma made the blind tag. Nia would hit the leg drop, but then Emma would come in and score the win. So it is now a fatal four-way for the Raw Women's title at No Mercy, coming up in 3 weeks, I believe they said. So Alexa Bliss, Her title reign is in big jeopardy coming up in this fatal four-way matchup. And then of course moving on, we had a tag team match involving the tag team champions, Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose. They took on former champions in their own right, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. This one, I really didn't care for very much. Rollins and Ambrose won the match. Sheamus and Cesaro, they were at ringside. They kind of tried to get involved, but it wound up costing Gallows and Anderson, and that allowed Rollins and Ambrose to pick up the victory. Afterwards, as Rollins and Ambrose were backing up the ramp, Anderson and Gallows would knock Sheamus and Cesaro out of the ring. They would then, Sheamus and Cesaro would get into a fight with Anderson and Gallows in the ring, and it ended with Sheamus and Cesaro standing tall. Of course, as I mentioned, Sheamus and Cesaro are invoking their rematch at No Mercy for the Raw Tag Titles against Rollins and Ambrose. So I'm expecting an exciting matchup, just like they had at SummerSlam, which brings us to the main event, which was a steel cage match between Braun Strowman and The Big Show. And if you remember the last time that these two fought, they broke the ring, and this time around, the officials made sure they double reinforced the ring because they did not want to have that happen again. This one, I have to say, was actually pretty good considering these two guys are two big guys. This matchup was actually pretty good. Big Show hit a top rope elbow drop to Braun Strowman. It only got him a 2 count. Strowman went to go for that same superplex from the top rope that broke the ring the first time around, but Big Show was like, no. But then Strowman would wind up hitting it again, but the ring didn't break. Basically, after that, Strowman finished Big Show off with a power slam, and that was pretty much it for that match. Like I said, a very good steel cage match considering these two guys are two giant men. After the match, Strowman would get on the mic, basically sending a message to Brock Lesnar, saying that this is your future. He would then pick up Big Show on his shoulders again and run and literally slam Big Show through one of the sides of the steel cage, and pretty much Raw went off the air with Strowman on the ramp, standing tall, and Big Show trying to get up. So that was pretty much it for Raw. My overall thoughts on Raw, I actually thought it was actually pretty good. There were a couple of good matches on here. I thought Jason Jordan had a good, strong showing against John Cena. I thought The Miz and Jeff Hardy Intercontinental title match was pretty good. I thought that the steel cage match was pretty good. So I thought it was actually a pretty good show tonight on Raw. I don't know about everybody else, but my overall opinion, I thought it was a pretty good show, especially those 3 matches. So with that being said, if you guys watched Raw tonight, let me know what you guys thought of it in the comments below. This has been my Raw review or recap on what took place on tonight's Labor Day edition of Monday Night Raw. As always, I am Brian, and thank you for watching.